Hail Satan. Hail Satan. Whatever. Is that what you want from me? Is that what you need from me? You need me to be like satanic? Today, I am talking about who else but Satan. Let's go, huh? Let's do it. If hell isn't a place, but rather a mindset, who is Satan? Is there an evil entity that leads us into temptation? We visualize this fire red dude, pitchfork in hand, pointy horns attached to his forehead, and a tail shaped like an arrow. He's the ruler of the underground torture chamber of hell. He's eternal too, apparently, and has a long history with God, as they've partnered up several times to get a bloody job done, while also becoming the scapegoat of everyone's bad behaviors. He's seen as the ultimate enemy to mankind, and despite his close partnership with God in destroying certain groups around the globe, he is also God's divine ultimate foe. Really? Before I smack Satan down to hell, I'd like to ask you a huge favor. Click that subscribe button. I'm a new channel, which is like a tiny demon in the wide abyss of hell trying to find her office space. Right now, I'm sharing a dark hole in the corner of eternity with some loser talking about aliens. So your support will really help me make my way up the ranks in this God-forbidden hellhole called the algorithm. Thanks. Okay, back to Satan, Lucifer, and the devil. Let's briefly peel back the story we're told in the Bible. Lucifer, who created beautiful worship music in heaven and really good rock and roll music on earth, mind you, saw himself as a much better ruler than God. He thought he was the equivalent of God, and this pissed God off to no end. So God rages and kicks him and his followers down into the fiery abyss. Apparently, God must have known this was going to happen, so he had the abyss ready at hand for when the time came. Because remember, Satan is the author of evil and bad things. No. And if God is all knowing, why did he put Lucifer in such a high position in the first place? It's almost as if God wanted Lucifer to fall so we could have endless wars, not only on earth, but also in heaven, that apparently we have to fight during Christ's second coming. A war no one signed up for, but will be forced into? Sounds familiar. Now, even though we've been told Lucifer is God's arch enemy, according to the book of Job, Satan has to get God's approval for everything he does to mankind, me and you. That then clarifies how bad things happen to good people like Job. God uses Satan to test his devout followers. He wants to see how far they'll break until they curse him. So then he can come down and condemn you for even questioning him. Some of you will insist the book of Job is a book of poetry. Yeah, well, so are the Psalms and Ecclesiastes, and we still consider them inspired holy scriptures, right? So, if not true by those standards, what is the purpose of Job's story? Fear? Control? These are God's exact words from Isaiah 45:7-9. I form light and create darkness. I make well-being and create calamity. I am the Lord who does all these things. Woe to him who strives with him who formed him. Yikes. That does not sound like a nice daddy. He sounds angry that anyone should dare ask why he allows such horrors in the world, because he created it. Don't question it. Just understand that God can torture you all he wants. And if you should ask why, well, God damns you. The more I read the Bible with awakened eyes, the less I see a good God. but rather a God who quite literally is Satan too. And he even admits my suspicions. With Job, God's like, yo, Satan, what have you been up to lately? Satan says, not much, man, just wandering around bored. God then serves up Job on a silver platter to soothe Satan's boredom. Have you considered my most loyal servant, Job? Like, he's got tons of good stuff. He's rich, he's got a great family, tons of friends. I'd like to see what happens to him when I rip all of that away from him. Go do my dirty work. Destroy Job. And Satan was like, hell yeah, God, I got this. Once Job is decimated perfectly, and his friends and family have deserted him entirely, God slides right in and demands he listen up, man. Who do you think you are, questioning my vindictiveness and torture? Did you create the heavens and earth? No, I did that. So shut the fuck up. Now, God may or may not have said the F word, but it feels right in this context as he goes into a long diatribe for 4 more chapters. Like, fuck, dude, we get it. You're God Almighty. He nearly challenged Job into a fist fight. But the story turns out okay because God doubles his family and wealth in his later life. When he had all the energy to enjoy it. The word used to describe Satan in Job is ha-Satan. He's not the evil entity of hell. He's God's partner in crime, waging bets on people's lives. Sounds like a good time, especially now that gambling is legal. Who's God betting on today? You, maybe? Then we get earthly Satans as angels, like in Numbers 22:22 and 1 Samuel 29:4, when the Philistines thought David would become a Satan or an adversary. The word Satan means the accuser, the adversary, or the prosecutor. Satan is God's hitman. He works in the mortal mafia of God, who's the ultimate Sopranos. But Satan is a mere lackey, eager to do God's bidding at any cost. God can't get his hands dirty. No, 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 no. That wouldn't look good. He can claim to do both and then blame Satan for the bad, while he takes credit for the good. Satan isn't a rogue rebel running a rival underground kingdom. He is an officer of the divine court. He holds a permanent seat on God's celestial council, the B'nai Elohim. He doesn't hate God. He works for God. He is the system's quality control manager. Ha is the word the. So ha-Satan is translated the persecutor. Not an evil overlord of hell, but rather a divine partner in God's holy legal firm. Now, here's where things get complicated. When Jesus comes along, he continues to use the term Satana, which carries the same definition of Satan, but with a couple minor changes. Satan is an adversary, but it's a carnal adversarial mindset or obstacle. He's really telling us that a real Satan doesn't exist, but the real problems we face are internal ones we create within ourselves. So when Jesus says, "Get behind me, Satan," to Peter, he uses the word Satana. Funny how dropping a lowercase a can change everything, right? Get behind me, Satana, really meant you're in my way. Your mindset is aligned with earthly survival and human fear, not divine reality. Like, don't push your negativity on me, Pete. To Jesus, Satana was anyone or anything standing in opposition to the flow of the divine. And when he says, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven to his returning followers, in the Aramaic context, he's saying, look at how you woke up the people. I saw the power of accusations and inner adversity collapse instantly. And in the Hebrew and Aramaic ideology, heaven represents the realm of authority or the mind. When the New Testament uses the Greek word diablos or devil, the Aramaic texts, like the ancient Peshitta, use the phrase akel kartsa. It literally translates to the eater of pieces or one who chews on accusations. It means a slander, a backbiter, or a false accuser, like my commenters. When Jesus talks about the devil, he is usually personifying the spirit of accusation, legalism, and religious hypocrisy. In the Aramaic mindset, the devil isn't an external monster hiding in the bushes. It's the voice of accusation, either within your own ego or institutionalized in the corrupt religious and political systems of his day, like the Pharisees and the Roman Empire. Jesus didn't validate the myth of a rival evil God. He hijacked the popular idioms of his day to talk about the battle within. To Jesus, the devil or Satan was the personification of the human ego, fear, false judgment, and the oppressive religious systems that kept people bound. The curse was believing that the threat wasn't an external monster, when the real work and the real adversary is sitting right inside the human consciousness. But that's according to the Bible. So let's look at what the Gnostics claimed Jesus was referring to, because in that context, it gets wildly interesting and feels a bit more like reality, or the reality that's been built by the demiurge. I don't adhere to any organized or even fringe religion. I think the idea of God and Satan of the Bible, or any version of it, even the Nag Hammadi texts, are outrageously destructive to the human psyche and our abilities to navigate in life without constant conflict. But the version of God in the Nag Hammadi text feels like a wild attempt at trying to reckon with the God that was shoved on them. The God who creates both good and evil and brags about his evil doings and uses threats to keep humanity in line. They believe that the God of the Bible isn't the real God. In my opinion, there isn't a God, period, but rather the highest consciousness of a divine source. But that's for another video. Your head's just exploded, didn't it? Can't wait to read those comments. To them, the real God is far, far away in Pleroma. Only he's not called God, he's the monad. He can't interfere because he's so good. It would go against his character and goodness to intervene. The Nag Hammadi 2:1, or the Apocrypha of John, says this about the monad: it exists as the God and Father of all, pure light. It is the invisible spirit, and it is not appropriate to consider it to be like the gods or that it is something similar, for it is more than divine, without anything existing over it. Everything exists in it. It is ineffable because there is no one able to comprehend it in order to speak about it. It is the immeasurable light, which is pure, holy, and unpolluted. It does not exist in perfection, blessedness, or divinity, but it is far superior to these. It is neither corporal nor incorporeal. It does not participate in the eons or in time, for it is a vastness. It possesses the immeasurable simplicity. It is an eon giving eon, life giving life, a blessed one giving blessedness, a knowledge giving understanding, a good one giving goodness. It is mercy giving mercy and salvation. It is grace giving grace, not such that it possesses it, but that it gives. Notice it doesn't judge, it doesn't rule, it doesn't demand blood or worship, and it doesn't even exist in time. Contrast this infinite, silent vastness with the loud, jealous, obey me or burn character of the God in the Old Testament, which the Gnostics refer to as the demiurge or Yadaboeth. It completely exposes the architectural lie of the modern church. Eons weren't created to worship the monad. They were created to express different facets of the divine source's infinite creativity, to learn and to radiate light. There was no concept of sin, no laws, no lack, and absolutely no fear. To experience itself, it projected a reflection. This first projection created the divine feminine and divine masculine. The divine feminine, Barbelo, the mother father, was the first thought of source. Barbelo is the ultimate cosmic womb, an active, creative, receptive force of pure light. When the monad looked into Barbelo, the intense friction of their pure, unadulterated frequency generated the first externalized entity. This entity is called the autogenes, the self-begotten one, or the cosmic Christ, the divine masculine son. This original Holy Trinity, Father, the monad, Mother, Barbelo, and Son, autogenes, didn't create dirt, rocks, or gravity. They created the pleroma, or the fullness. That is a realm of pure, multidimensional, high-frequency energy. Within this fullness, they established the eons, living, conscious cosmic realms or divine archetypes. They created realms of incorruptibility, eternal life, truth, and grace. These realms were perfectly paired. Every masculine frequency had a matching feminine frequency. They existed in total harmony, like a flawlessly tuned chord resonance. But the real problem we face today in our everyday world was caused by a clever young Aeon trying to spread her proverbial wings without a divine masculine. Her name is Sophia. According to the text, she decided to reveal an image of herself without the consent of the spirit and without her partner. This image wasn't like the others, and she tosses him into the outer darkness. But because she wasn't cruel, but rather ashamed of what she had done, she created a cloud and throne for him. She named him Yaldabaoth, and he became the first archon. She also gave him immense power. He never really knew where he came from, but the throne indicated he must be powerful. Out of those powers, he begins to create the archons to serve him. He then declares, I am God, and there is no other God besides me. Thus, the God of the Bible, both good and evil. The archons do his bidding, like in the story of Job. They are to blame for all of the things that go wrong in the world because they harvest our energy to stay powerful. Now, there's much more to this story than I can fit in this short video. And if you made it this far, thank you. This video is about Satan, the devil, and God, not Sophia. But the demiurge explains a lot. And if you think it's far out, I would remind you that you believe in angels and demons and the God in the sky, dictating both, whether you realize it or not. You believe far-fetched theories presented in the Bible. You refuse to question it. So why would this theory be so unbelievable? For me, I don't care to believe in the God of the Bible or the demiurge. Both sound horrible and cruel, especially when you realize you are merely food to archons who continuously throw you back into the world after you die, wiping your memories for any and all past lives. Again, I don't believe in reincarnation, but this could explain why many do or have experienced memories of past lives. Now, what I do believe in is the idea of the monad. I have my own personal theories on that, but I won't share them here today. One last thing before I end. Lucifer is not Satan. It's the biggest identity scam in theological history. To modern churchgoers, Lucifer is Satan's original name before he got kicked out of heaven for being too proud. But if you dig into the ancient languages and the actual context of the texts, you find out that Lucifer is a mistranslation of an astronomical term, and Satan is a legalistic job title. The Bible never once connects them as the same being. The word Lucifer never existed in the original Hebrew Bible. It is a Latin word, lux, or light, and fere, to bring. It literally means light bringer or morning star, which is the planet Venus. The only reason it's in the English Bible is because when Jerome translated the Hebrew text into Latin in the 4th century, the Vulgate, he translated a specific Hebrew phrase into the Latin word Lucifer. Later, English translators forgot it was a description, capitalized it, and turned it into a proper name. So what about Lucifer's story in Isaiah 14:12? I thought you'd never ask. Modern dogma says this is a flashback to the devil's rebellion. But if you read the actual chapter from the beginning, Isaiah explicitly states who he is talking to. Verse 4 says, "You will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon." The actual Hebrew text reads, "How you have fallen from heaven, Hallel ben Shahar." Hallel ben Shahar means shining one, son of the dawn. Isaiah was using a well-known Canaanite myth about the planet Venus, the morning star, which rises high and bright in the morning sky, but is instantly swallowed up and erased when the actual sun comes up. Isaiah was using this as a sarcastic political metaphor to mock the human king of Babylon, basically saying, you thought you were God rising to power, but you're just like Venus. You're about to get totally wiped out by the real light, and you're going to rot in a grave like a regular man. It had absolutely nothing to do with a cosmic devil. So let's wrap this up. Early church fathers, specifically Origen and Tertullian, in the 2nd and 3rd centuries, were obsessed with finding cosmic allegorical meaning behind the political Old Testament verses. They took Isaiah's poem about the king of Babylon, mashed it together with Jesus's line about seeing Satan fall like lightning, and invented a brand new backstory. By the time John Milton wrote Paradise Lost in the 17th century, the fiction was so deeply embedded in Western culture that people forgot it wasn't in the actual text. So let's review who we have here. Lucifer was a Latin astronomical term for Venus, used to mock a tyrannical human dictator. The demiurge is a miscalculated, aborted eon. And Dante's Inferno created the little red horned entity. The church merged them all together to create a multi-layered, terrifying supervillain, because a distracted humanity looking for a cosmic demon to place the blame on will never notice the real evil control mechanisms operating right under their noses in the forms of organized religion and politics. Worse yet, it provides an easy way out of ever having to look within and facing the fact that maybe the real problem lies somewhere in the depths of ourselves. And that means we can never fully be free. And you deserve to be free. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this content, go ahead and click subscribe and the like button. It really helps a small channel just starting get pushed out into the algorithm, which is obviously operated by Satan. See you next time.